We are live for the last time at RE Plus 2023 at the PowerUp Live Podcast Stage, presented by KeyBank Capital Markets. Thank you so much, KeyBank, for supporting and helping make this possible. As well, we want to thank our supporting sponsors, Fluence and SMA, our morning show and RoundUp sponsors. We have so many folks that have helped support Modern Energy, Meyer, Install, Omnidian, Rez, SMA, SoulReach, and our contributing sponsors who help bring amazing content to the PowerUp Live stage, from Beta, Burns McDonnell, EDP, to Lux Power, Nextracker, Origis, Pinegate, Solus, TerraPro, TorqueSeal, and Utility API. We've been live podcasting from this stage for the last 2.5 days, and the content has all been live streamed to suncast.live. So if you've missed anything, and if you're watching us right now on the Jumbotron out in the foyer, thank you for going and checking out suncast.live, where you can see all of the content that we recorded throughout the week live on the podcast stage. I want to also say thanks to our daily RoundUp sponsor once again, which is Modern Energy. Modern Energy invests development equity in early stage developers and provides operational services to accelerate growth. It's the last day, boys. Welcome to the RoundUp.
Great to be here. Here we are again.
We got Jason.
I got right off the bat, I got to give a great shout out to Nico. He's been busting his butt. You can hear it in his voice.
Yeah,
He's been doing this the entire time, and I have tremendous respect for that.
Good to have you back, Jason Vierkart. I think it's been
Appreciate
since 2019 since you were at the podcast stage, right?
Seriously?
Did you join last year for the final one?
Maybe. I don't know. I slip in there every once in a while. You know, we're here.
Yeah. And of course, we've got Nate Giovanelli, who just did the last of our Industry Pulse. How did the Nate show, the Industry Pulse, go this week?
I thought it was great. It's always interesting to get perspectives of different people, and especially if they're focused in other areas of the industry, because it's such a big industry, right? And my primary focus is in residential, so to hear the people talk about what they're seeing in utility scale and C&I, it's really good to get that flavor. That's what I really enjoyed about it.
We're going to do a bit of a swag roundup here, and we're going to talk some about our roundup of ideas, things that we learned, things that caught our attention or caught us by surprise. But I also want to say thanks to Lux Power. Lux Power is the all-in-one energy solution provider. They were at booth 5521, and they have an advanced hybrid, off-grid, three-phase, and DC retrofit solution. You can experience SunPower every day with Lux Power. Hopefully you guys had a chance to go visit Lux Power, and if you didn't, we have a link to Lux Power on the suncast.live site as one of our supporting sponsors. Please check them out. Speaking of checking out, did you guys find any swag that was like your particular favorite? We did this swag roundup, so I want to kind of go around. I'm curious to hear what you guys liked.
Okay, I'll first of all, I didn't personally find this. This came from a great friend, Brad Albert, also a Maui guy. There's a bag of mints, or a little tin of mints, and it said on it, do you have a picture of it? It said on it, curtailments. And that is, from a solar geek perspective, about as choice as it gets.
Yeah, we all just died laughing.
And it's too much. So, and for just to be clear, it shouldn't be an inside joke. Curtailments, we're talking about
on this, but it is
the energy from a solar system that gets curtailed or eliminated. I suppose
basically
the noun is a curtailment.
Lost is the easy word to use.
Lost.
It could have been energy, and it isn't.
We use curtailed all the time because we like big words.
I love it. Sure. Curtailments. I tried to hold it up so Gabe could zoom in on it, but I don't think that we can get that.
No, I guarantee it's all over social.
It was there was a lot of fun swag. I think one of the things that I've been told that the best swag that has been dropped off at the booth is none other than Hawaiian Host.
Oh yeah, those are we got to bring them from Maui. We stuck up from Maui, bring them out.
Love it. So we'll be in Maui on the Island Max in just a few minutes when we finish up here.
Good enough.
Unofficially sponsored by Angry Orchard.
Oh, stop that! I turned mine around specifically.
Nate, what about you? Did you find anything that stuck out?
I didn't get as much time to walk around the floor as I would have liked this year, but I did get a sweet pair of these Nikes, compliments of Paykeeper.
You did not. You got some of those?
Yeah, they say Paykeeper on the back.
Paykeeper's the Paykeeper Nikes.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I think they were the talk of the show, man. That was like
They're giving shoes out?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
We did.
People are really upping their game this year.
Yeah, we hosted a happy hour with them for one with Enterflow and Paykeeper, and it's just a great concept product.
Right.
I think we talked about actually at the end of this. I'll give them a little plug since they gave me some
go for
Nikes.
it.
But we talked about just at the very last industry polls how we've seen an uptick in cash deals for residential solar, and it's just a simple escrow account that you can do. So it protects both the installer and the customer. So the installer knows they're going to get paid, and the customer knows that the installer's not going to walk away with their money. So sometimes the best ideas are the simplest ones, and I really appreciate the shoes. So
thanks Paykeeper for the shoes that I didn't get.
I think that'll be changing now.
It's in the mail.
Well, a couple of things that we found. My buddy Fred walked around and found some really cool stuff. This company, KWRE, brought the fire, man. They brought the fury. This is actually one of these cooler bags.
Oh, sweet.
Fully
But
insulated.
they also had a solar-powered USB speaker that is really, it seems really robust. One of our guys really liked the Game Change. This is unique. I mean, Game Change kind of took a different approach. This is a little beanbag phone holder, that you can put your
that
phone
makes
on.
sense.
Yeah, just like
Cool.
that. And then one thing that stuck out to me is I prefer practical stuff, right? Practical stuff. So, and because we all like sustainability, like this thing from Saft, which is a battery company, has a... I mean, I think it's interesting, right? When companies...
So it's a little utensil case, right?
Yeah. It's, Saft is very utilitarian in their gifts.
Right.
I liked it.
Right.
I liked it. So Saft, kudos and points to Saft for creating something that's sustainable, and...
You'll probably be using that for years to come. Because you go back to your hotel room, you got your yogurt, you got your nuts and stuff like that, and you're going, oh, how do I get this?
That's right.
Walk all the way down the lobby,
and then,
the restaurant.
The one, I give the award for, like, the thing that most people think they won't use until they show it to their kids. And this is from Aztec Tipsa, and I think that this is a pizza roller, but 50% of the time, I see people say, "Oh yeah, my kids are going to cut Play-Doh with that."
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I like this. I think this is a good idea, right? I don't know. I tell from a marketing perspective, I don't understand some of the ways that people market their swag. Like they'll just put their brand on it. So like if I'm going to do this, I would say like Aztec Tipsa, cut through the noise or something like that.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Or like
a tagline.
Yeah. Or something to do with like a slice of pizza, right? A slice of heaven. Like we cut through and make working easy, something like that.
Get your slice
I think
of
that's
the
where
energy pie.
We had always talked about doing one for Solar Coaster, right?
For
and
sure.
Of course,
We
it would
wanted
be
say it. A coaster, the solar coaster.
I love it.
Yeah.
simple as
There
that.
it is.
You know?
Here it
So,
is,
but
right there.
along the
There it
same
is.
lines of what you're saying, yeah.
And then
Solar coaster.
until I had seen your Paykeeper shoes, I was convinced that Sungrow's Lark bottle, which retails for like $120, was the best piece of swag that I was going to get. But Paykeeper shoes. Anyway, thanks Sungrow for the Lark bottle. Sungrow bringing clean power to all. I'll say that. Sungrow's the premium sponsor, platinum sponsor for Suncast, and super grateful for them as well. But guys, as much as I like swag, really what we're talking about is the messaging that gets through the noise here at the show. And I'm curious if you all had hey, look, the Game Change folks are in the crowd. Woo-woo! Nice. I'm going to say this. Thanks for the swag. Is there anything that, as you got a chance to talk to folks or walk the show floor, the limited that you did, that stuck out to you from a technology perspective? Anything introduced from a press release that you can't wait to geek out about?
Oh yeah. I mean, when Jay and I literally we didn't have much time at all, but right away we went up today because we needed to see what was going on, and we saw the GM booth.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And they had a big GM.
Dude, the Chevrolet. They had the Chevy EV.
The Silverado.
Yeah.
So sexy.
Silverado. I mean, but
It's
they did an AR, like a 4-tablet AR table, and then they had these little hotspots, and in each one they kind of mapped out like the city of the future, the bi-directional city of the future across the board, from public trans to your own vehicle to
shipping.
You name it. They didn't leave any gaps. I mean, that was really exciting to check out. Not to mention how beautiful that truck is. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. And the interface for the giant phone that they had just takes you through every single feature.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, I mean, since Ty Yegerson joined GM, he has really taken their whole V2X team to a new level. So kudos, Ty. you're killing it over at GM. You're bringing the level of professionalism up and helping the automotive industry really figure out their place in the home grid, right? I think that's a really important piece to it. Jason, you usually take a very technical look at products. Is there anything that stands out for you as like best of show? Like CES style?
I don't have a best of show, so I'm actually really super self-critical.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at myself on day 3 and saying, did I achieve what I needed to do here? And my answer to myself is kind of no.
Yeah.
And it's not because of anything I did. We achieved so much, but there's just too much here.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to take in.
So usually you feel like you've kind of got a handle on it,
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
It,
I mean, there's a lot, and
there's a lot of overage.
Right. There's so much stuff I just didn't get to see. I mean, we mentioned on day 1 the preponderance of actual data companies out here that are doing software that it's very, very specific, very niche, but really, really super key to figuring out exactly what the infrastructure is going to look like, exactly what your installs are going to do, modeling, digital twinning stuff. I mean, everything exists out here.
Yeah.
And I think I haven't seen that volume of digital software companies out there before. So that was the big takeaway for me.
I think the biggest announcement in that landscape this week was Heliolytics getting acquired by ZiteView.
Yes.
That was like a bombshell announcement. You know, I mean, Heliolytics was acquired by NovaSource, and then now they spun it out and sold it off to ZiteView. And ZiteView, Mark Culpepper said, "Yeah, we're the Borg, right?
Yeah,
you will be
Well, that is kind of how software works. I mean, if you've been in software IT, I was in IT for 30 years, and people just buy everything.
So, and what it says for me is that we are reaching an accelerated M&A curve where our industry is starting to mature to the point where you can't have so many disparate players.
Yes.
We need consolidation because that consolidation gives us scale and growth, and it helps to lessen the amount of confusion for consumers.
Well, it's simply the workload.
Yeah.
I mean, for installers and for operators.
That's right.
You can't do it.
Yep. Anything that you heard in your interviews that stands out, like one-liners or ideas that for you are like you're going to be mulling on or taking back and integrating in as content?
I mean, so much.
How about every interview, Nico?
I mean, there's, we could talk about some of the things that are happening in the residential microgrid space. There's some things there that kind of surprised me. I started to see fuel cell pop up more often than not, which I was kind of surprised about. I also saw bidirectionality pop up more than that. I mean, I was looking for that, but we just came off a conversation with that right there. I saw a couple of diagrams that kind of mapped it all out in a holistic way where it was like this was no longer completely outside of the spectrum of what we're talking about. Now it's like, here it is.
Yeah.
Here's your solar, here's your inversion, here's your like gateway in a sense of what pulls it all together. And now they're working on bidirectionality. They got Jenny integration, they got everything. So that's what we were trying to find out.
Yeah.
We saw a greater understanding of how that works. And the technology is coming like to kind of the key to fit it all together.
Yeah. And on the VDH front, bidirectionality, it's always been kind of coming soon. Well, now we've got real product. I mean, people telling me this exists, it's in the real world, it functions, and it's going to be on the market in a month or two.
I was just up at, I mean, like everyone, we didn't get a chance to walk around the show as much as we wanted to. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I'm thinking about, because we just lost power for 4 days in North Carolina, and my wife said to me, when are we getting batteries? Right? You've been in the solar industry for 17 years, so are we going to get solar? And the reason is we don't have good solar access, and she knows that. But the battery thing, she says, do we need the question that sparked for me, like, my mission here was to try and figure out if I could find the one that I like. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to declare it here because that wouldn't be fair to everyone else. But I found the one that I like.
Oh, good.
So I may leave some clues. But the thing from her was, do we need solar to have batteries? And the answer is no, we don't. And even if we don't have a transactive market, even if we don't have incentives in North Carolina today for me to have batteries as a backup and be able to participate in some other sort of value stack, it's starting to make sense to put batteries in the garage for a myriad of reasons.
I mean, it exists already in other environments. Like in Vermont, in Green Mountain Power, they've rolled out certain programs. So they have these kind of little tendrils of the grid, inside of these little ski towns that go out like that when there's inclement weather. And so Green Mountain was like, and my cousin has them. He's got a couple of Power Walls in his basement.
Yeah.
I went over and he's like, hey, come check them out. They gave them to me. Whoa.
I need it.
So there's a value case there.
Yeah, I need to talk to Lon. We had Lon Huber on the show Tuesday morning. He had just spoken with Jigger, and they're instituting a lot of VPP stuff, right? So a lot of reorienting the way that consumers pay for energy and are paid for energy. So I'm going to definitely go back and talk to Lon about what Duke is going to do I think Green Mountain and the programs they put together are a case study on why batteries matter on the local grid, with or without solar. Well, what I was going to say is I went up and was visiting with AP Systems, and I was really impressed with a product that most people think is just a resi product. They introduced last year their commercial microinverter, which has 4 modules per microinverter, effectively reduces the number of microinverters by 75%. But they just introduced this week a battery storage module, which is basically an EMS, right? And so they can control with AP Systems any battery. And so they had a home grid system demoed there. They obviously partner with Yada. They've partnered with Yada for rooftop storage. But I was really impressed with the ability to, as opposed to where you see SolarEdge and Enphase and Tigo going with their own proprietary battery systems, AP Systems says, no, we want to actually be the installer's friend, right? We want to allow them we don't allow them to partner with whoever they want, right?
There's a lot. I think there's a real case for that being a very valuable thing, rather than because you have all these disparate ecosystems where they're all duking it out to be the one, right? But then the installer's there, and they want to be able to make a choice and say, hey, this company does this very well, and this company does this very well, and they can all play nice together if we have the software support and the capacity to integrate them, right? So I've heard that from a couple of different companies out there. I won't mention names, but I mean, I think they're leading in that direction, which is exciting.
What kind of stuck out to me for that, as I'm thinking about this for my home, is on the app, and I don't think this is unique to AP Systems, but on the app, they have 3 different power modes where you can have it powering mostly from the sun and the batteries. You can have it powering sort of all going to the grid with the batteries as backup, and then you can have it completely off-grid, islanded. Yeah. And the guy Chris was explaining to me how you can switch it in real time. So like you get an alert that PG&E that you've got to turn your power off or whatever, or in our case a hurricane's coming. You can switch it to the mode that allows you to optimize your battery system the way you want it. And again, with whatever battery system you choose, it's not tied into one architecture.
Yeah, have you seen the span panel? I know it's not new, but I just talked on the industry pulse, and I mentioned I was putting batteries in my home. I'm going to do it with a span panel.
You are?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just moved to Florida, and I never really appreciated batteries until I lived in Florida.
Totally.
In Pennsylvania, I never lost power, so to me it was like, what do people need batteries for? But as you mentioned, like you go a day without power, and you're like, all right, I'm putting in batteries.
Yeah, there's a couple $100 in at least in refrigerator food replacement right there.
Right. And with the span panel, I just think it's really slick how it works with basically it's your new main panel. It's all digital, so it's going to be able to control all the things you're talking about, right? Yep. And I don't even know if there's another really competitive product out there with that.
Yeah, Lumen.
Is there Lumen? Alex and the guys. We actually have the span
out.
Panel in my place. We've gone through a series of outages, and then the daily is quite interesting, right? Like how you look at your energy consumption and manage that on a daily is one thing, and then how you deal with that on a power outage scenario is another thing. But then they're doing really interesting stuff, right? You've got the iDrive, which is it modulates the actual amount of power, which there's reasons why that would be useful. And then today we talked to them, and what's it called, PowerUp. What was that thing called again?
I don't remember.
This thing is throwing me off.
This morning.
They got a new functionality, right? And they've got an HVAC system where they're kind of like toggling loads to meet the needs of the HVAC system in different scenarios. So there's just a lot of room in there to be innovative.
It's deeper than that. It's not just on and off and turning off other loads. It's actually talking directly to the air conditioner and modulating the speed of the compressor.
It's like a variable frequency drive for your...
Exactly that. And that's incredibly intelligent. And I asked him once we were off camera, I was like, well, what other appliances are coming real fast? It's like, you see the fridge in the corner?
Yeah. I mean, they're bringing to homeowners what commercial buildings have had for years.
Yeah.
Right? And it's remarkable. You mentioned Span and competitors. Like, if we think about that ecosystem approach, Span has more of the in-phase approach of like, let's build, own, and operate an infrastructure that we control, right? They're going to start introducing, obviously, they have ecosystem partners they talk to, but they're introducing a lot of their own products, whereas Lumen has taken the other approach, sort of the AP Systems approach, being very installer-friendly and being very agnostic to how and why they would connect to one or the other thing. But, I mean, there is going to always exist these two dichotomies, right? And I think it's wonderful. I think it's great to see even more competitors that are coming to market to compete with Span and Lumen. But I think it's also remarkable that in our daily roundup, what we talked about was essentially the core extension of solar that is the smart home, right? And we started the entire week off with the folks from SMA making an announcement about SMA Span integration. And it was almost like foreshadowing of what for me I think stands out at this show is the integration of the whole home and the software battery that installers have to think about from everywhere from proposals all the way through to operating a system.
It's what's fun about this is you get to the point. Like, you remember how we say we always go to CES and we cover all the consumer-related products, right? It's easy to get excited about it. Who doesn't like a flying car? Who doesn't like all these other things? But like the home kind of movement towards the whole home is where it gets exciting for the consumer. It's not just like all the installers geeking out about stuff. Now it's like the consumer gets things that they can actually play with and see the value. I think it's moving towards that C conversation.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be touching these directly. I mean, and having control, just like what you're talking about. And I think the way you describe it is you have modes for this and modes for that, like just the situation. Too much control can be a bad thing. And so to make these choices simple for the homeowner is actually really, really key.
Yeah. Well, guys, we could literally sit here and geek out for the next few hours.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. As we maybe we go to Topgolf and wrap it.
Let's do it.
And have a follow-on conversation. You want to go to Topgolf with us, Nate?
I got to catch a flight, but I would love to otherwise. I mean,
so
what I would say is, I feel like you need another day because the show's gotten so big. I think Jason alluded to that earlier, but I don't think I could survive another day.
I concur.
Quite frankly,
I concur.
Nico can survive
I
another
definitely
day.
could not. I don't think I could survive another half day. So as we wrap up the last daily roundup, brought to you by Modern Energy, how would we want to think about next year? We're going back to Anaheim. So reminder, we're going back to Anaheim. Go ahead and book. Oh yeah, pro tip from Daniel Deuce from the Know Before You Go episode. Go ahead and book your hotel. Go ahead or reserve it. Go ahead and reserve your lunches and dinners now. Because
that is a pro tip.
Yeah, it's a super pro tip. Like, you can cancel them. They'll take reservations. But what do we want to think about going into Anaheim? And maybe what's your prediction? So this year we ended up talking about the whole home, and we saw some sexy cars. What's the prediction for what's going to dominate the narrative a year from now in Anaheim?
We're going to have real bidirectional V2H on the market by then.
We'll have data as well.
We'll have real data. We'll know how it works and how.
I
guarantee there's going to be things that shake out that we haven't predicted, and it's going to be really interesting to look at that.
Well, if Jigger has anything to say about it, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I know I didn't give you a heads up to think about this question, but let's think on our feet here.
Well, we had a chance we caught Abby on the way in, and she had said that she was really interested in kind of hearing from everybody about which direction the show as a whole goes. Are there more curated kind of pieces to it? Because it was so large, and I think that was kind of the takeaway. It was like, whoa, there was so much here, it was hard to capture it all. It felt kind of like just frenzied at moments, So I think there's a dialogue at that level of saying, how do we steer the show? And I think there's opportunities for feedback over the year to help create the show with the character that we all want it to be. So it's a really pertinent question at this time.
Yeah. Nate?
Yeah, I just think it's wild how big the show's gotten. I mean, I said that last year when I was impressed, and now this year I remember it hadn't even started yet. I think it was Monday. I turned down the hallway, like coming to the convention center. I just went, wow. Yeah. Just wall-to-wall people. And it is challenging to go see and do everything you want. There's plenty of people here that I didn't get to see. I agree. I think we're going to see more and more, though, batteries and solutions to drives the whole home, whether that is vehicle to home or whatever that might be. I think that's going to continue, and you're going to see more innovation with technology, like even the new Powerwall that's up top. We were talking earlier about some cool stuff. I mean, it's pretty nice. It's got the inverter built in. It's simple.
The new Powerwall has the inverter built in.
Yeah.
Right? Wow.
The Powerwall 3?
Yeah.
And it's got like a really heck of a power kick too. Yeah, it's like, I forget what it is. 13, some huge power, like actual power delivery number.
Yeah. So when you talk about simplicity, right? That's it. Now you can just have somebody hang that on there, and they have their inverters and everything built in for their system. But yeah, overall, I think what I get excited about is the things like the spans of the world and the things that are helping really manage load management, because a lot of people talked about future proofing, and that's stuff that we have to think about. Like how are we going to charge all these EVs, and how does that affect the grid?
Yeah, fuel cells started showing up this year as well, and that's something else I'm looking forward to seeing shaking out.
I heard the word nuclear, and I hadn't seen the booth.
Did anybody see it?
Was there actually a nuclear booth there? Because someone told it.
But I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
and I guess I would need to clear my throat.
For sure. But, I guarantee you there's folks here from the industry.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
Yeah,
they're going to be
sure.
here. I wish there was a booth. I mean, it would be an interesting kind of juxtaposition, and conversations would be.
We'll see. I mean,
that could actually be the answer to your question.
That could be.
We see that integration.
We'll see nuclear integration.
Wow.
Okay, so the bold prediction is that we'll actually somehow find it in our hearts to embrace the nuclear community as a part of the RE+. And that will be the expansion in Anaheim. I think that Jigger Shaw, as he said in his session yesterday morning, is clearly driving a narrative that we're no longer in the solar industry, that this is the VPP industry. And so as a result, we've got a clear signal from the U.S. government that they're going to be pouring money into turning homes into power plants. And I would bet that the key narrative next year is something around how do we help homeowners get on board with this, right? Because we'll be a year into the DOE pumping money in, and we'll be at the point where we need to, they've got a deploy conference next week. But I would posit that we're a year from really deploying this idea to the market. We have to seed the idea right now in the industry by simply saying, you're no longer in the solar industry, you're in the VPP industry. So what will it look like a year from now? And how will technology from companies like Span and Aurora and Game Change modify their language and even their product mix to address how homeowners can integrate and be a part of this power economy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're already seeing that in some respect, and that's why we're all talking about this whole home kind of thing, and how we're going to VPPs, how are we going to manage load, future proofing. It's kind of a two things that I think need to happen, and they are happening. And one that we talked about earlier is like electricity rates have risen faster than really any time in history. I mean, just in my area, it's wild. In both states that I've lived in the last 3 years, electric rates have doubled, right? So consumers are feeling pain. So the other thing is we hear and you see more power outages depending on where you're at. You've been reading a lot about the heat in Texas, for instance, and those are both big pain points for consumers. So whoever makes it simple for them, right, in a full circle to a lot of the technology we just talked about, those are the ones that are going to win and control that narrative going forward and start winning the home.
I think a great segue there is for RE Plus Hawaii, January 22nd and 23rd. If you want to see this whole home fully deployed and actual data sets of what it looks like, you got to come to the postcard from the future, right, which is Hawaii, about that a great opportunity to learn all about that from all the major players that are deploying those things right now. Spans are out there, loads of battery attachment rates, 80-90%. We have like 43 cents a kilowatt hour residential energy. And then, who knows what's going to happen with all the things that have been going on out there with natural disasters in rates. So please come to RE Plus Hawaii and check it out there.
In January. Good timing, eh?
Yeah.
Nathan, any last word, something that you would like to ask our audience to do for you?
No, I don't have anything. I mean, if you want to hear more from me, you can always find me on LinkedIn. Obviously, I have my short podcast. It usually comes out on Mondays called Limitless. Go check it out. Most people consume it on LinkedIn, but it's available on Spotify and everywhere else. I just really appreciate it. I love the energy that this brings, and just having this here and the location here. It's been so much fun. I really appreciate it, Nico, and thank all the sponsors and Solus sponsored. The Industry Pulse, so I'm appreciative of that, and just giving us a forum to talk with people. And like you said, you don't have time to go to every booth, so where else are you going to learn? And this is it, and that's what I love about it. So thank you for having me.
Jason, last words?
I want to give a big shout out to the RE Plus events folks. I mean, they really busted their butt this year, and they got well over their expected attendance. And
last I heard was 41,000.
Yeah, 41. I think it's actually closer to 42. But
That's wild.
But nothing catastrophic happened. That's an old roadie thing. Nobody died. We had a good show. No, but it was stellar. I've heard nobody who comes away with this with a bad feeling.
I'll echo exactly what you just said, Jason. Huge thank you and shout out to Tim Morris and Leslie Fondren and Katie Croy and Tony and the whole RE Plus sales team. Everyone came together this year when it was like drinking from a fire hydrant. So much interest in the show that they had to expand into 4 different venues. We talked yesterday about how the show is commanding respect in Vegas as one of the bigger shows in Vegas. And I also I'd be remiss if I didn't for sure mention the unsung heroes that make the PowerUp Live stage happen. Kyle Christensen has been manning the booth, helping make sure everything gets done. Jeremy Pingle and Graham Whitley have been helping coordinate from the very beginning to make sure this thing comes to life. And our real-life team back in the back keeping the video going. And Herman Chalet on production, making sure that all of this gets recorded and delivered to all of you.
Thank you
and
all.
That our audio is clean and crisp most of the time. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Chris, our editor, who made somehow a live production sound like an in-studio performance on the podcasts that we've published the last 2 days. It's remarkable. Thanks to all the folks that have watched us live on suncast.live or out in the foyer on the Jumbotrons. And most of all, those of you who took the time out of your busy schedule to sit on our comfy cubes and charge your phones, eat your meals, and enjoy time with us. We're so grateful. We really do. We put this on so that you have a place to call home and come back to. Remember, next year, look for the PowerUp Live stage. And you can call it home. Set your meetings here, set your time here, and come enjoy it with us. We'll see you next year in Anaheim.